Following Joel Embiid's 40 ball against the Chicago Bulls, we have a loaded show coming your way. We're going to hit you with the latest on James Harden, Woj and Shams battling it out with their respective reporting. Could the Nets pull a trigger on a James Harden deal if Seth Curry is involved? We're also going to hit you with the latest on Bradley Beal. But first, make sure you subscribe to Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports, because with the NBA trade deadline coming your way on Thursday, we have you covered with a bunch of Sixers content all throughout this week and all throughout the calendar year. Less than 300 people away from 4K, so hit that red subscribe button down below, and let's get into the latest Sixers news and rumors. Happy Monday, Philadelphia. You're watching 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. We start off with the latest Sixers rumors on this potential James Harden, Ben Simmons trade. And according to Bill Simmons on the Bill Simmons Podcast, he had elaborated that he is hearing that the Nets more intrigued by doing the deal, not if Tyrese Maxey is involved, which is good for Philadelphia and this organization moving forward, but if one of the best sharpshooters in the NBA is involved in Seth Curry. Now, I'd certainly be hesitant to pull the trigger on this deal if Seth Curry has to be involved for a multitude of reasons that I'll elaborate on here coming up here in just a few moments. But Seth Curry having a career year, when Daryl Morey got him in exchange for Josh Richardson, it's one of the best player-for-player swaps that we've ever seen over the last several years. And he's gone on the last 2 years to really have a marvelous 2 seasons in Philadelphia. This year, 15 points per game. He's shooting 49% from the floor, almost 41% from beyond the arc, and of course, anytime he tiptoes the charity stripe, just like his brother, he's knocking him down at an 87.7% clip. Now, we have seen the last 2 years that Joel Embiid and Seth Curry have really worked on their chemistry, and it's grown to be a very, very good and lethal 1-2 punch, kind of among the likes of how Joel Embiid was able to work with J.J. Redick for that short sample size over a couple seasons. The two-man game, the pick and pop, and how they can operate at the top of the perimeter is very, very dangerous on the offensive end of the floor. Now, I will say this about Seth Curry, just like we talked about with J.J. Redick when he was balling out in the city of brotherly love. Curry, like Redick, does get picked apart defensively, and they can be sieves on that end of the floor. And when it comes time to the playoffs, opposing teams will always look to identify that mismatch. So that's where there are some shortcomings with Seth Curry on the Philadelphia 76ers. But if you can get James Harden to Philadelphia and you don't have to give up Tyrese Maxey, does that intrigue you a little bit? It does for me, but still at the same point, Joel Embiid was broken up about losing J.J. Redick when he hit free agency. Could that happen if Seth Curry were to get traded? Yeah, James Harden's a very good player, but Seth Curry has given this team a ton, and it's not like James Harden is giving you a lot on the defensive end of the floor either. Here's what Kevin O'Connor had to say on the Bill Simmons Podcast about Tyrese Maxey and this possible deal going into Thursday. Sources tell me Tyrese Maxey is totally off the table. I'm told someone like Danny Green is more likely to be included than some of Philly's young players. Curry is an integral part of the Sixers offense, and without Matisse Thybulle, they lack a perimeter stopper. Now, I was at the American Airlines Center on Friday night for Sixers Mavs. Danny Green was being put in a body bag anytime he was defending Luka Doncic. He looked awful. He looked slow. And it's crazy how far he's dropped from last year because he looks to be washed right now. If you can get rid of Danny Green and that contract, still bring in James Harden and not give up Tyrese Maxey or Seth Curry, that's a big win for Philadelphia, although I do not think that is realistic going into Thursday. So would you include Seth Curry in a deal for James Harden? Your opportunity to voice how you feel about this in the comment section. Type T for trade, type K for keep. We really value all of your responses, so get those responses in the comment section right now. Now, the NBA trade deadline, only a couple days away. Valentine's Day, officially 1 week from today, right after the Super Bowl. Get your girl hooked up with some really fresh and swaggy Philadelphia 76ers gear, thanks to our friends at Fanatics. This 2 t-shirt combo available on sale, down from $50 to $37, only if you use that link down below, thanks to Michael Rubin. It's chatsports.com/76valentine. I'm going to put that link in the comment section, as well as the description of this video. Now, it's funny. We know that Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania are the 2 best NBA reporters out there, and their reporting when it comes to this potential James Harden for Ben Simmons trade is conflicting. And they're on both sides of the spectrum. And it's funny, who's going to be right and who's going to have the bragging rights? Fascinating to see how it plays out this week. So this is what Shams Charania had to say about this deal on Friday. We covered it on the channel. Thanks to all of you for watching the video. Make sure you subscribe for more videos like that and this. With the NBA trade deadline just days away on February 10th, the 76ers are expected to pursue Harden in the coming days, and the Nets are believed to be open to discussing a deal. Sources with knowledge of the situation tell The Athletic. Woj on Monday. Different approach. Different messaging, different reporting. He talked about a conversation between Daryl Morey and Sean Marks, and it went like this. Morey hit up Marks and said, "What about James?" Marks said, "James who?" Because the Nets have 2 James, Johnson and Harden. Morey responded by saying, "James Harden." Marks said, "No, not trading him away flatly." That exchange 4 weeks ago represents the single direct communication between Morey and Marks this season. However, brief the conversation, messages were delivered in each direction. The Sixers planned a pursuit of Harden, and the Nets had no intention of surrendering James Harden. And there's been a bunch of conflicting reports about this. James Harden telling ownership, front office, as well as his teammates, he wants to stay on with Brooklyn, but then James Harden telling his camp something different, that he wants to get traded to Philadelphia because he wants to play alongside Joel Embiid. Clutch Sports and Rich Paul has the ear of who? I feel like Clutch Sports is in the ear of Shams Charania, whereas Adrian Wojnarowski has the ear of the Brooklyn Nets. What's going to happen over the next couple of days, and who is going to win this battle? You let me know. Who's going to be right? Maybe both of them will be wrong, but a rivalry like this, it's just like Sixers-Celtics. It's great for the NBA rumors discussion. So let me know. Type Woj if you think Woj is going to be right. Type Shams if you think Shams is going to be on the right side of these trade rumors. Once again, chime in the comment section down below. Now, I know Steve Nash on Sunday, right before the Brooklyn Nets lost their 8 consecutive games, said, "We are not trading James Harden." I'm not making much of that. There's a lot going on here and a lot to monitor in the days leading up to February 10th. The Nets are currently on an 8-game losing streak. They ended up losing without James Harden. He's been out the last couple of games because of a hamstring injury. Some are saying hamstring injury. Maybe he's kind of saving himself prior to the deadline. Who knows? But here's really where a lot of this comes into play. James Harden has an opportunity to opt out of his contract this summer. He did not sign a contract extension this past summer. So if he becomes a free agent, and if the Nets know that he's not going to re-sign a deal to stay with Brooklyn for the foreseeable future, could they look at the NBA trade landscape and say, well, we can get a 2-time All-NBA player in Ben Simmons, one of the best defensive players in the league, a 3-time NBA All-Star in exchange for James Harden, who's aging, whose game has gone downhill somewhat offensively. There aren't many better players we can get in addition to Ben Simmons for James Harden. Would it be wise to trade Harden away at the NBA trade deadline and get Ben Simmons back? I'll tell you this. Ben Simmons is a great fit with the Brooklyn Nets if Kevin Durant is playing and if Kyrie Irving continues to play. Right now, he's playing away games and playing very well. I think Ben Simmons is a great fit because He's reluctant to shoot the basketball, but with Brooklyn, he doesn't have to shoot the basketball. He can play point guard when Kyrie is either not playing or not on the floor. When Kyrie is playing, he can play in that dunker spot, and Brooklyn needs a very good defender. What better defender to bring in than Ben Simmons, who is, in my opinion, the best defender in the NBA? So we go from Ben Simmons and James Harden to, lastly, Bradley Beal. We teased it at the top of the show. We have to do our due diligence because here at 76ers Now, we are a channel of the people. Bill Simmons saying Bradley Beal is a better fit. Now, I'm not sure if he watches the channel, but that's what I've been saying all along. I'd rather have Bradley Beal than James Harden. He's more devoted to his craft. He's in better shape. He's all about conditioning, whereas James Harden sometimes is not. He's also younger than James Harden. Now, this year, Bradley Beal's numbers are down. He's dealing with a little bit of a ligament injury in his hand/thumb right now, but up to this point in the year, 23 points per game, 6.5 dimes, 45% shooting, which has definitely gone up the last couple of weeks before that injury, and right around 30% from distance. Now, those numbers this year down from last year when he finished runner-up in the NBA scoring title behind Steph Curry. But I think if he were to come to Philadelphia and operate that two-man game with Joel Embiid, his numbers would go up because he'd be reinvigorated in his career after getting out of the mediocre dumpster fire that is the Washington Wizards and coming to a fan base and a franchise that actually cares about their team in the Philadelphia 76ers. This right here is my dream starting five. I'd take James Harden straight up for Ben Simmons. I'd rather have Bradley Beal, though. But Tyrese Maxey, Seth Curry, Bradley Beal, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid, that right there, folks, is a legitimate starting five. And in my opinion, one of the best starting fives in the Eastern Conference. That makes the Sixers go from being a fun team right now that can maybe win a playoff series, but I think they cap out in the second round, to them being considered dangerous, not just in the East, but across the entire NBA. So my last question for the city of brotherly love. Pick one if you had to choose one of these star players. You like Harden more? You like Bradley Beal more? You let me know and sound off in the comment section. JH for James Harden, BB for Bradley Beal. Get those votes in and subscribe, because here on 76ers Now, we have you covered all throughout the week and all year long.